Okay, well, thank you all for being here today. For the signing of HB 238, which is titled Criminal Mischief, it's a very short bill, but a very important one. The free exercise of one's religion is the first right protected in our country's Bill of Rights. I'm going to repeat that. The free exercise of one's religion is the first right protected in our country's Bill of Rights. Very important. While the Constitution's aim is preventing the government from oppressing religious expression, the actions of private individuals should reflect these values as well. Vandalism is not acceptable in Alaska, and vandalism of religious property is not something we should take lightly. So HB 238 modifies existing statutes to make it criminal mischief in the third degree if someone who vandalizes a place of worship or religious education. So we got a number of folks that are going to speak to this bill. I'm going to first turn it over to Representative Josephson, who was instrumental in getting this bill on the floor, getting this bill passed, and then after that he'll pass it on to some of our rabbis behind me. So I'm going to step off to the side, and Representative Josephson.
Thank you, Governor. I'm going to take just a few minutes to tell you about the bill. I'm Mendy Josephson. I represent House District 13, and I was indeed the lead sponsor of the bill. Often, the thank yous occur at the end of comments, but I want to go ahead and thank some important people now. First of all, I want to thank the Governor for sure for his seeing the wisdom in this bill. I want to thank my friend and the state's lead prosecutor, John Skidmore, who I see here. It's important to consult with the best writers because getting the words right matters. In that respect, my aide, Alexander Schroeder, was also instrumental. Other people I'd like to thank are the Judiciary Chair, Sarah Vance, who has, in many ways, different political perspectives than my own, but she saw the importance of this bill and quickly calendared the bill, as did her Vice Chair, Jamie Allard. A critical person in the passage of this bill was the Rules Chairman, Craig Johnson, who was the first co-sponsor of the bill and calendared it just as soon as it got out of House Judiciary. And I would add Senators Klayman and Wielechowski as being important to the bill. Now to the bill. This has been a tough year, as we all know, for people of faith, and we all want to see that come to a close as soon as possible. National and global events have led to a surge in religiously motivated crimes. The concept behind this bill was brought to me courtesy of the Anti-Defamation League, and many of you know about their good work at fighting anti-Semitism. They have a bill that, the concept they sponsored for decades called institutional vandalism. And that was sort of the origins of this bill. The bill in our criminal code is called a criminal mischief bill. I thought about the word mischief. It does a disservice to how bad property crime can be, particularly in the context of places of worship. The Anti-Defamation League reports a 36% increase in anti-Semitic events between 2021 and 2022. The U.S. Department of Justice and the ADL reported that the late 2023 Israel-Hamas war caused a 360% increase in anti-Semitic attacks. And that was just between October 7th, when the war began, and January 7th. ADL's CEO, Jonathan Greenberg, was quoted this past spring as saying, "Anti-Semitism is nothing short of a national emergency, a 5-alarm fire that is still raging across the country and in our local communities and campuses." Similarly, because this bill is aimed to protect all people of faith and all religious institutions, it's important to note that the Council of American Islamic Relations reports that complaints of discrimination and attacks against Muslims and Palestinians increased 56% between 2022 and 2023, with nearly half following the beginning of the Israel-Hamas war. So you can see the need for this kind of bill. And what the bill does fundamentally is it says, was there evidence that a perpetrator acted knowingly in vandalizing or desecrating a church, synagogue, or mosque, or an educational institution or exhibit relating to religion or religious education. And that can't happen accidentally. So I want to talk a little bit about any concerns folks may have with overreach, because we can always be guilty of swinging the pendulum too far one way or the other. This requires more than an accident. This is not the soccer ball errantly kicked through a window by a child next door. This is something more knowing than that. It requires a substantial probability that someone knew that what they were doing would harm a religious education or place of worship. That's number one. Another concern I think that's been expressed is that by moving, and that's what this bill does, the penalty from an A misdemeanor to a C felony, that's just overreach, as I said, or just too much. But the fact is, as our prosecutors know, defendants would still be eligible for two things: a suspended entry of judgment or suspended imposition of sentence. So the prosecutor, in combination with the court and the defense, can reach a resolution that is appropriate for each case. This is merely another tool in the toolkit. Another concern is raised, and I think you'll agree with me, there's no way to completely answer this question, but that is, does adding criminal penalties change the behavior of humankind? Well, we know that if you deleted them all, that would be unhelpful. So, look, some of this is a public service announcement. It's more than that, though. It has teeth. It's meaningful. But, all we can do is make these efforts and raise the best kids and young adults possible and move forward. That's all we can do. The bill, I think I covered pretty well the kinds of things that it covers and the need for the bill. I wanted to recognize just a few people that are here today, and if I've forgotten anybody, I apologize. But I know that Pastor David Morton is here. I know that Muhammad Ali, the president of the Muslim community of Alaska, is here. Haley Barber, a Muslim leader, is here. Of course, the rabbis associated with this great synagogue. My friend Pastor Eric Christensen of Beautiful Savior Church is here. And so many other people that my colleague Representative Colomb, Representative Gray have joined us. I think, out of habit, I'm almost inclined to ask, is there any questions? But I know that's not what I'm going to ask. So I think I covered it all, and I'm going to move on to the next speaker.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Alaskan Jewish community, the Jewish Campus and Museum, I would like to thank Governor Dunleavy, and Representative Andy Josephson for initiating and signing this very important bill into law. A new law which will provide Alaska with additional tools to fight institutional vandalism and anti-Semitic vandalism. As you all know, our Jewish museum and campus were victims of anti-Semitic vandalism for the attacks for the last few years. You all remember when an individual engraved a swastika on the museum front door and windows. We also had several bomb threats where we had to evacuate the building and run with our little preschoolers across the street to the doctor's office while police and bomb squad searched the building to confirm that this was a false alarm. Not only our Jewish community is suffering from institutional vandalism over the last few years, but also other Alaskan communities have suffered as well, including my friend Gary Morton, who is here with us today. His community has suffered shootings on their property for their staunch support of the Jewish community. I want to thank the governor for personally calling me every time we had an anti-Semitic vandalism attack against our museum or our community. He personally called me on my cell phone to show his staunch support and strongly condemn these terrible acts against humanity. It is my prayer and hope As the global spiritual giant, the Lubavitch Rabbi Menachem Schneerson has always taught us that in the merit of today's bill signing by the governor and the state and the Alaska state legislature, fulfilling one of the most important universal values of the Seven Commandments, which Almighty God issued to Noah and his family after the great flood, the commandment to govern by just laws, that we may all see the fulfillment of humanity's great future, as proclaimed by Isaiah, nation shall not lift sword against nation, neither should they learn war anymore. Amen. And thank you, Governor, and thank you, Mr. Josephson, for doing this amazing bill and for choosing our location to sign this bill. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you all for joining us today. I want to thank our Governor Dunleavy and Representative Andy Josephson for this important bill. Sometimes the problems in the world or the negative influence in the community seems too big that some people might think there's not so much to do. But the truth is that we should never underestimate the power of one action or one call to ensure a better future. How much more so when it's not only one time? As you all know, since the horrific massacre on October 7th against Israel, our governor made a public statement that provided more clarity at one of the most darkest moments in modern Jewish and American history. In addition, the governor signed in February the bill that the state of Alaska will not do business with any corporations that boycott Israel. I believe that this bill against vandalism here in Alaska is not only protecting our Alaskan community, but also sends a message to the rest of the country and to all the places around the world. And at the same time, the bill and some support for Israel, it will no doubt, send a message in protecting our Alaskan community. We are all in one boat, and we can't close our eyes when true evil acts are taking place on the other side of the world, just like the murder of the 6 hostages just a few days ago. Our governor made it very clear that America will always stand with Israel, the only democracy in the Middle East, the only one who shares America's values of liberty, free society, human dignity, insanity, and celebration of life. So I want to thank you, Governor, again for your support for Israel, with prayer for safety and true peace for Israel and around the world.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you, Representative Josephson and Representative Sarah Vance, who's not here today, for making this bill. I just wanted to point out that we know in physical health that there are 2 ways of dealing with illnesses. One is to, once someone is, God forbid, not feeling well or sick, you go to a doctor and the doctor has a cure. So too in society, that society can have illnesses, so people can make negative choices, bad decisions, and therefore we need the leadership of our society, or the more spiritual healers of the society, to make laws, to make sure that people will behave in the proper way. Hopefully this bill will be a deterrence for people that have such ideas, such ill ideas in their mind, that they will not go ahead and do this knowing that there's a more severe punishment. But yet at the same time, we know in medicine that there's even a more successful way of dealing with illnesses, which is to make sure people don't get ill in the first place. So preventative medicine. And so too we see that as well with the governor and the Alaska state legislator when signing the last quite a few years the proclamation and a citation and a bill celebrating, bringing recognition to Education and Sharing Day on the birthday of the Rabbi Schneerson, which the idea is to deal with this problem in advance, to raise our children with the proper morals, with morality and ethics, that when they grow up, they won't come to make such choices in the first place, which that's the really most successful thing. So I want to thank the governor and the Alaska State Legislator and Representative Josephson, Sarah Vance, and everyone else that is here today for taking both ends of this problem, from dealing with the issue once we have it at hand, like the bill that we're signing today, and the same thing to prevent it in the first place by raising our children with moral clarity, with the idea of that there's an eye that sees and an ear that hears, and therefore they'll be raised in a different way. They'll never even come to thinking of doing such things that will need to be deterred by the bill today. Thank you so much.
So before we sign the bill, just a few closing words. Sign the bill and take some pictures. But you know, America obviously is a great country. It's the greatest country in the world, history of the world, for a whole host of reasons. And one of that is our tolerance for each other. Unlike nations that have been around for centuries and centuries and centuries, America was cobbled together based upon an idea that we could all get along, and that we could all tolerate each other. That's the very essence of what America's all about. That's why it works so well. You know, in this room today, we have our Jewish friends, we have our Muslim friends, we have our Christian friends, we may have some Buddhist friends, Baha'i, the list goes on and on and on. And what we're able to do is demonstrate to the world that this is how you're supposed to live. And Alaska, my favorite state, with its great model, North of the Future, I think really exemplifies that. And we're incredibly tolerant people here in the state of Alaska. We come from all over the world in the state of Alaska. A harsh climate, isolated oftentimes from our families, but it gives us an opportunity to meet and make friends of different backgrounds. And that's what makes us a strong state, a strong country. There's a thing that was coined a while ago called the broken window syndrome concept. And a lot of it was born out of New York City, where folks, when they were allowed to do something, throw a rock through a window, do a small slight to somebody, vandalize a religious temple, synagogue, church, that would get worse and worse and worse. And there's some psychology, some history behind that demonstrates that that's the case. We've seen that happen throughout history. And I think if anything, America is what the future should be for this world. And that we not only tolerate each other, but we have each other's backs. Everybody has each other's backs. Because if it can happen to one religion, it can certainly happen to another. And history has proven that. And so I think this is a great bill. I want to thank all the legislators that were part of this. I think it's really a great sign, a great statement on the state of Alaska. Again, whether it's a synagogue, whether it's a mosque, whether it's a temple, whether it's a church, we should all lock arms to prevent any harm from coming, not just these structures, but what they represent. And that is the essence of who we are and what we believe in this great country. And so, I just want to thank everyone that was involved in this. I want to thank everyone that's here today. But there is no them. There's only us. Us here in this room, us in this state, us in this country, and hopefully someday everyone in this world realizes it's just us. And so we're going to go down and sign the bill. I'm going to ask some of my staff to move the table forward, because what I would really like to see is everybody that could fit behind this table for Alaska to see that we're all on the same page and that we are really one good family. So let's go ahead and do this, folks.
Yeah, you sure you want it?
I'm going to sign the bill. When the bill is signed, it then is transmitted down to Juneau, where it then becomes official law in the state of Alaska. So deciding this bill, we reaffirm that we're all of one family, and we reaffirm that we've got each other's backs, and we reaffirm that we're going to do everything we can to make this a more perfect union.